Hey, this is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit, and today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and that's the effect of social media on kids and adults for that matter. And I've got someone very special with me. I've got Shaker with me, who is a full billionaire. Shaker, first of all, good morning and welcome to IndigoMusic.com.
Good morning, Rohit. Thank you for having me on the show.
What is a full billionaire?
Well, you must have heard a billionaire, a millionaire, a trillionaire, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, there is something called as a fulfillionaire. And I was not aware of whether this word existed, but then I Googled a couple of years ago and I found that there is a word. It's a noun,
Okay.
and it basically describes an individual who builds wealth through fulfillment and fulfillment through building wealth.
Oh, that's really profound. I really like the way you explained the word fulfillionaire with me, and I'm pretty sure big fulfillionaire. Now, I want to get to the topic for today, which is kids, right? They're experiencing FOMO, fear of missing out, and they're coming into peer pressure, and they're trying to join social media even before they're legally allowed to join social media. Now, how do you think social media and pressure of likes and comments affect them?
See, I think it is very evident that what you said is absolutely true,
Yeah.
and it affects them mostly negatively, very less positively. Negatively, why? Because of three reasons, and
Mm.
I call it the three C's. Three C's basically it begins with comparison,
Okay.
right? Comparison. And all of us are, most of the times, whether you like it or not, subconsciously in the mode of comparison. Forget
Yeah.
even consciously, right?
Yeah.
And it begins with not just us, but our parents and our grandparents,
Yeah.
right? Because that is how we have been born and brought up and groomed.
Yeah.
Having been in a certain class of society, whether it is rich class or middle class or lower or upper or uber, whatever, their respective classes have their respective comparisons.
Correct.
Now, comparison is born because of another C, and that is called as competition,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
need to compete, right?
Right.
And when comparison is because of competition, that competition ignores what the individual is capable of doing at his or her level,
Okay.
right? So it is like saying, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're capable of, you don't know your strengths, but yet you may be an elephant, but
Mhm.
you see a hawk flying in the air,
Mhm.
and your papa elephant or your mama elephant says, "Hey, Rohit,
Mhm.
why don't you fly like the hawk?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But they don't know your capabilities,
Correct.
right? They say, "Hey, Shekhar, Rohit has purchased a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Why don't you go purchase a Ferrari?"
Correct.
Not knowing that Shekhar's capability may be worth buying him a private jet or a private helicopter,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? See,
Yeah.
they don't know the capability of Shekhar or Rohit, but just because Rohit has purchased a Lamborghini, they went and asked Shekhar, go purchase a Ferrari.
Correct.
Shekhar's capability is not known, but what have they reduced Shekhar to? From a private jet or a helicopter to a Ferrari or a Lamborghini,
Correct.
right? So competition is the main cause for comparison.
Okay.
And you can't compare between five fingers. Each
Yeah.
finger is different. Similarly, each of us have different strengths. You don't know what that somebody else is all about. You just see what that person does in the social construct. And
Mm.
because this person does more likes or more videos or more reels, you want to be comparing with that person, and you end up in competition and you end up confused because you don't have the flair that the other person may have. Like Rohit is such a fantastic VJ or RJ or DJ. I
Correct.
may not be able to do that.
Correct.
So if I compare and I try to get into Rohit's shoes and I fail miserably,
Yeah.
whose fault is it?
Yeah. Correct.
Right?
And I think even adults, it applies to them as well, right? Not just kids.
Oh, of course.
And what do you think? How can someone like a tip that both kids and adults for both of them, how to mindfully use social media?
Anything that has to be used mindfully involves, see, the very fact that you said it, you asked the question itself has the answer because you should mindfully use social media. Mindfully means intentionally.
Ah,
Intentionally meaning with what intent are you going to use social media? Forget
correct.
social media. With what intent are you going to use a bike or a car or a knife or a gun?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your intent matters. If
Correct.
your intent is benevolent, that means good,
Hmm.
any outcome of the efforts given towards that intent or performing that intent will always yield positive, wonderful outcomes. They may be delayed, but
Hmm.
they will get positive outcomes.
Now, for especially this is for parents, right? I personally have a neighbor, known them for like 20, 30 years now. They have a small daughter. I mean, she's, I think, in about seventh, eighth standard now. And for a good amount of time in that kid's life, they had not introduced even television. Forget mobile phones. Television later
Yes.
on, in fourth standard, fifth standard, a little bit of cartoons here and there came into her life. So after all this, she's now in eighth standard, and she one day comes back home and she says, I want a phone because I want to be on Instagram. Now, they said
Yes.
after all these years of, not doing this, I had to succumb because she's my daughter. And she also was feeling the peer pressure. Now, how can parents handle this situation?
Yes. So there are aspects of parenting that are involved when accepting certain demands that children come up with, right?
Yeah.
And it's it's just another situation that every parent goes through because of the circumstances that the world has arrived at today. The natural demands of the child need to be looked at very carefully,
Mm,
right?
mm,
One is, do you want it or do you need it,
mm.
right? A want versus need. So these two are very different things.
Yeah,
Just like efficiency and effectiveness are two different things,
correct.
right? You
Yeah.
may have a car
Ah,
which brings efficiency,
yeah.
but if you start late, are you effective with the car? No,
No. Yeah.
right? So effectiveness and efficiency are two different things. Similarly, wants and needs are two different things. One should very clearly be able to use the power of discernment,
Mm.
also known in Sanskrit or Kannada or Hindi, known as viveka,
Okay.
right? So you should have that power of discernment or differentiation. Is it a want? Is it a need? If it
Correct.
is a need, what are the fulfillments that can be performed using this need?
Correct.
That is what differentiates whether your answer is, am I giving into the wants or am I giving into the needs? And if the needs are whatever they are, then can I fulfill them, or are they going to hurt my child and therefore me? Because most of the times we don't end up living with the decisions, we end up living with the consequences of our decisions,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Absolutely. I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Shekhar. Well, thank you so much for connecting and, giving us so much insights and so many references in real life as well when it comes to social. I think mindful use of social media is something that everyone should look forward to. And I hope with this conversation, a lot of people will rethink twice about how they use social media. It was a wonderful chat that I had with you. Thank you so much, Shekhar. Have a wonderful day ahead.